No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at Albert Park, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996, and home to round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Yuki Tsunoda completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Piastri, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Leclerc, Norris, Russell, Albon, and Liam Lawson, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Carlos Sainz, and Hadjar, Hülkenberg, Gasly, Ollie Behrman, and Jack Doohan. Ocon and Gabriel Bortoleto rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. And alongside me for this afternoon's commentary, Naomi Schiff. Good afternoon, Gnomes. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.